Okay, well, let's see if it works now. Thought I tagged him. Still waiting. It'll happen. He's getting the hang of this. There we go. Is it working? Request. Approve. All right, Zach's getting on here. Hang on. Good. How you doing? This is Zach. Hi, Zach.
Hi. Sorry about that technical.
That's okay. So Zach is in recovery. How long do you have clean, Zach?
A little over 9 months right now.
And that's awesome. Now, mind you, the number one thing I talk about is how time to me really doesn't matter. And I know that some people don't agree with me on that, but I feel that we are talking about experiences. And I think 9 months is an amazing feat. And I'm really happy for him because he's been in and out of recovery multiple times, right? So you've been around the block a lot. It's,
Yeah, you could
it's,
say that.
it's a good thing. No, it's really a good thing because like you actually manage to stay involved, whereas people don't. People leave, they don't come back, and it's the end of them. And then we see them in the obituary, and that's it. So I know you do a lot with the community as far as I think you were doing some meeting stuff, and we can't really, we can only touch on that. But sure, go ahead and I'll ask you a few questions. How old are you, Zach?
I am 24 years old right now.
What a ripe age to get better, right?
Yeah.
When's your birthday? My birthday's on Saturday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm an April Fool's baby. So,
So, oh, you're older than me. Crap. Well, duh, you'd be older than me. You're already 24. Anyways, I'm not that smart all the time. Let me think of another good question to ask you. What is your job? What do you currently do?
right now I'm a cook,
A cook.
chef, whatever you want to call it.
Now,
Um, yeah.
do you like being a cook? Do you enjoy the job you're doing currently?
Yeah, I actually like cooking. I plan to have it as a career.
Oh,
I've already been doing it for like a little over 10 years, so
wow. Do you have a background in cooking prior to this?
um not really. I started at Cabana Sam's as like just my first job, and then it just stuck.
Right.
Kind of.
So, how do you feel as far as is there? I know I didn't mean to cut you off. I tend to cut people off all the time. Just be like, stop cutting me off, biatch. But one of the things that I know has been known as like happening in workplaces is there a lot of like drug use and um, maybe I don't want to say triggers, but do people use a lot of drugs at your workplace, or is it something that you don't find that a lot?
In the cooking industry, it is ungodly common. It is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I was gonna say.
If they're not alcoholics or just drinkers, they're potheads, cokeheads, whatever, everybody does drugs in the industry.
Right. Now, how do you feel about being around that? Does it affect your work, or do you think that you're okay with it because you've, obviously adapted or
Well, I'd say, yeah, over time, now I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me at all. But in the beginning there, the first few tries of this, it was definitely rough.
right?
Trying to think
I
of
can
another quick
definitely
one.
see where that would be an issue, and that's something that I think people, when they go into recovery, the first thing they want to do is run out and get a job. They're like, I want to go work, I want money. That's every recovering addict
Yeah.
in a halfway house. They're like, I need money right now. I'm so sick of this shit. And I can't tell
Definitely.
you how many times like I watch recovering addicts in halfway houses fight over like $10. You know what I mean? Like it's like the $10 that somebody found on the floor that was in your pants, that was in the washing machine that 8 other people used, and suddenly there's a house meeting over it, and everybody's all come together on a Saturday morning
Yeah.
bitching because it's too early that they didn't steal the $10, but the person that really did left on pass the day before. So,
Yeah.
I mean, You know, it definitely it's happened to me. I remember somebody took some of my change. I had a big change jar, and I was so proud because I had like $40 in this change jar, and I had actually been saving up money. I saved almost $500, and somebody
Oh wow.
stole. Yeah, that was awesome for a recovering addict in a halfway house, and somebody stole my $5 in change. And I remember I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna steal $2 worth from all of you until it equals the $5 or something like that. Maybe it was like 15, but it was hilarious because I was, I think, either the vice president or president of the house at the time, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I didn't really approach it the way I should, and it really doesn't matter, you know. But hi, Stephen Ganoy. Hi, Steve. It's Steven. So it's Steve, right? And Erie almost 10 months sober. That's awesome. I'm glad for you. That's cool. You know, definitely coming
Yeah,
along
that's cool.
there, Steve. So did,
T-bone.
did you have a career prior to the cooking industry?
Not really. I kind of was just being like, a punk ass kid till I was like 14. I wasn't really doing anything specific.
So you
I
didn't.
think I had a paper route.
Well, hey, that's good. So I know a lot of people start with a paper out, so nothing wrong with that. Okay, so exactly, the most important day is in fact today. So let's find a harder question to ask you. I'm just going to ease our way in here because we can talk as long as you want here. So, how did you do in school growing up? What was, did you have good grades? How did you do as far as did your teachers like you? Did you get in trouble? So forth. How was your interpretation of high school and how did you feel about it?
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's complicated because up until middle school, I was kind of like the quiet kid that just did my work and I was doing great. And then kind of around middle school, I changed my friends and I stopped kind of being the recluse, started becoming a little more sociable,
Mm-hmm.
got a little more popular, and I don't want to say in shape, but I got taller and puberty, that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I started kind of digging into different cliques, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
Um, Teachers really didn't mind me. I wasn't really much of a dickhead towards teachers. I was kind of just like I was still a recluse, I guess, but I was just more talkative about it.
Right.
Um, yeah, grades wise, I was doing good all up until high school. And then high school, I started really screwing off. That's when I got my eye on the girls, and then everything else, drugs and all that stuff, got really bad.
Right. I know.
Started to get really bad.
That's where it happens, you know. I know, like, for me, like you said, I was definitely the same way. I had like two friends. I was not a big fan of school. I felt like I didn't belong. I feel like I didn't belong, and I think that that was a big part of my issue. So for a long time, I felt like I had no place. I didn't feel pretty, you know. Once I hit puberty, I started to look better. You know, my looks came in. I obviously developed a figure. Guys started to pay attention to me. Girls that had been, you know, popular, like looked at, you know, they started to kind of communicate with me more. And I still didn't want to be with them at the same time. Like part of me was jealous, but the other part of me was like, fuck them. I'm never going to be like them. But while I actually
Yeah.
wanted their attention, which was hilarious, I still do this all the time. And you know, I think that once I started hanging out with more people and I had a friend base, when they introduced drugs into my life, like marijuana, and then past that, you know, other things, I think that's why I actually started picking up because prior to that, I was completely against drugs. I actually hated people that did drugs. That's what I said, which is very ironic. I would say that people were drunk junkies. I didn't want nothing to do with them. They were scumbags. I didn't understand why they were all scumbags. I used to say stuff like that. You know, I was very, very not understanding. And the great part about, you know, becoming a drug addict and dealing with that is that I became very understanding and started to see other people's situations. So yeah, I totally get that. Definitely went the same way for me. So What is your talent? Because like I know some of your talents, but you can talk about them because that's on
Um, talents. I don't know. I guess some consider playing like musicianship as a talent.
you.
I don't really see it as a talent, but I can play some music, I guess. I can play a bunch of instruments. Um, I don't know. Cooking, I'm really good at cooking. I consider that a talent because I've seen a lot of people that can't cook food for shit,
Mm-hmm.
like an industrial level. But I don't know. Other than that, that's all I really do. I write. I can draw. I guess about it. That I
Zach
know of.
Zach is amazingly expressive. He can write well. He is a good poet. He has beautiful music that he can play and write, which is a double threat to any other man out there. I'm letting you know. So he definitely is artistically inclined. I think that's beautiful. And wow, this hurts to watch this. Why does it hurt to watch this? Okay. Anyways, no, he is definitely an amazing person. And I think that you have a lot going for you. So this is why it's nice to have you on here because I know that you're very intelligent, you're articulate, you have a lot of good things about you. So, all right, tell me about your first experience with using and how fast it progressed.
All right, my first drug I ever did was I smoked pot. I was like 8 years old, I think, something like that, 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
This guy across the street, he was actually my older brother's friend, invited me and a couple of my other friends over, and we went over there, and he pulled out a bong, and he's like, "Hey guys, rip this," and I was a dumb kid at the time. I let the peer pressure break me, and I
Yeah.
smoked it. And it was so stupid. I did the dumbest things. I can remember telling my ma that, like, I walked in the house and I was like, "Hey, my eyes are red because I'm tired." Like, I made it a point to tell her that that's why they were red.
Well, right.
Kind of blew
That's,
myself
we
in.
don't know, we're not used to lying as kids. So, that's something we kind of grew into. I mean, at least I did. It wasn't, I didn't have to lie for a long time. So, as I got older, that was something I learned how to do. So, um,
Yeah.
how is your family life, if you don't mind, kind of getting into detail with what you see fit?
Family life. I'd say family life was okay. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. Um, we moved around a little bit. I've had a few sets of friends change throughout my life, so I never really had any consistent friendship. Um, and then with my family, I never really talked to anybody other than my mom a few times. I was kind of just me. I was a loner, the non-existent kid.
No, I know. I get that one too. I was definitely, I mean, I don't know. I kept to myself. I didn't really explain how I felt. I think that was a big issue was I always expected to be fine and I always acted like I was fine. So if something was wrong, the only way I truly expressed it was like in my writing. I think that was probably the best place to see my actual feelings throughout my life. Sorry, I'm like trying to pick a good position so I'm facing the right way. But yeah, no, definitely I see I hear that. So when was it that it became evident to you that you had an issue? Like, was there something that happened to you that caused you to start using? And then when you did, was there a point in time where you were like, okay, I'm an addict and I'm, addicted to the substance?
Um, yeah, okay. So the first time I used was 8, and then I stopped after that time till I was probably around 10, and then on and off through the years, like once or twice a month, if that. Very inconsistently used till I was about 14, maybe even younger, 13. And then I smoked weed like every day, started drinking. Um, yeah, I went from there. And then I started getting into the pills and stuff when I was in high school. and a few of the group of friends I was in at the time started doing heavier stuff, like the fentanyl patches.
Right.
I didn't even start. I went from weed to fentanyl patches almost immediately for a solid 2 or 3 years before I started doing heroin. But I realized I had an issue with the fentanyl patches when I was probably 18. I think I was 18 when I first went to rehab.
Oh,
I was
that's
stealing.
pretty young, yeah.
Yeah. I went to White Deer Run somewhere in, it was like 2013, I think, whatever year that was. 2014 I went. I got in an accident December 3rd of 2013 that did